hotel staff, if you could help me remove 3 of the chairs, I would really love that. It's just for the photograph aspect, I guess. Thank you. Just remove 3 chairs for me. How's everyone doing? I hope that you enjoy your lunch. Now, we are having a really interesting session. It's going to be a fireside chat. The topic is blockchain to transform the future of the Gulf countries. As we know that we are here in Dubai, it's one of the most prominent Gulf countries in the region. So it's going to be really interesting to get the insights from Dr. Craig Wright, the Chief Science Officer from Nguyen, as well as Jimmy Nguyen, the founding president, BSV, Blockchain Association. A lot of you know BSV. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you, the Sofitel, the Obelisk, for your hospitality for both days. All right, ladies and gentlemen, are you ready? Yes? Okay, we are ready, and so may I ask for Dr. Craig Wright and Jimmy Nguyen to take over the stage. Woohoo, give it away, guys.
Good afternoon, Dubai. I'm Jimmy Nguyen, founding president of the BSV Blockchain Association, which leads the global growth of BSV, one of the competing chains of Bitcoin that is the original protocol at massive scale to enable microtransactions and vast volumes of data. We are so proud to have with us today for his first blockchain trip to Dubai, the famous Dr. Craig S. Wright, inventor of Bitcoin, Satoshi Nakamoto himself. Give it up for Dr. Craig.
Hello.
So Craig, you have not been to Dubai in over 20 years, you've told me. So tell us what your impressions are of how Dubai has changed, and more importantly, how you think blockchain technology and Bitcoin at scale can really help advance further the country you see now.
Everything is much bigger. Back when I came here from a trip long ago, not passing through the airport, 25 years ago, nowhere near as many buildings, not anywhere near as shiny, nowhere near as built up. It's much bigger. But what I want to talk about is what Bitcoin's really about, the blockchain concept that people seem to misunderstand. It's not about decentralization, that's just a tool. It's about, as it says in the first part of my white paper, low-cost transactions, micropayments. It's a system that enables data to be shared for next to nothing. So not this concept of we need to have everyone owning a node. They don't anyway. There are 4 nodes controlling BTC, there's 3 controlling Ethereum. Algorand has 1. I mean, the reality is that's a whole bit of fraud. The real concept is the ability to have transactions done for cheaper than anything possible while storing them at a point in time. Nothing in human history has ever been able to store data at a point in time before. Nothing has been able to store data and transmit it at the volumes that are capable on something like Bitcoin. Not the whole block cap bit, but the reality of billions of transactions a second at scale. And the reality of transaction fees as low as 1,000th of a cent, which undercuts Amazon, which undercuts Google, which undercuts Microsoft, which undercuts every single player by 100 times. That's what Bitcoin's really about.
Yeah, so let's dig into that, because people misunderstand Bitcoin. They see what's happened on BTC, a network that has not scaled, so the network is congested, fits a small number of transactions, and the transaction fee can vacillate between 70 US cents to $40 US or more to send a transaction, which is why you don't see the BTC network really used for anything except being a speculative investment asset. What Craig is talking about is Bitcoin, its original design to power huge amounts of micropayments, right? Because on our network now, the cost is about 1/25th to 1/100th of a US cent to send a BSV payment transaction. And you say it's got to go even lower to 1/1000th of a cent?
I've already been talking with some of the miners, Tile, etc. Later this year, dust limit will be totally gone, single Satoshi transfers will be possible. So we're talking about amounts under 1,000th of a cent. Yes.
So let's talk about why that should be relevant to Gulf countries as well as around the world, which is enabling the transfer of tiny amounts, for example, with smart cities, IoT devices, the connected devices we're going to have in the world. Talk to us about the future you see.
So right now with this concept, the other systems, without scaling, 30 cents to $1, Lightning Network, over $1, 1% per hop. The more hops you have, the more expensive. Any of this just doesn't work. I mean, I'm sorry, it's all about cost. I'm partly an economist. Now, if you want to have a smart city and you're going to send billions of transactions,
Right.
you're not going to be paying $1 each. The miners will love you, of course, but that's not the point. I want to see you sending billions of transactions at 1,000th of a cent. And you're going to go, oh, you're not making much money. This is the point. I'm trying to drive consumer adoption. I want people using. I want scale.
Right.
Scale is all that really matters here. It's not about all these other crypto objectives and crush the government or any stupid BS like that. It is purely and simply, how do we grow this to billions of transactions per second, enabling you to record everything immutably, all of the data properly, not having to worry about Oracle, not having to worry about AWS, having your own records in a way that can also be locked to your country, your information, not sitting in an AWS data store so the NSA can review everything you're doing. You own it, all of that.
And so here in the UAE, that's really critical because the government has issued a directive to have the goal of having, well over 50% of government transactions and activity on blockchain by, I believe, 2030. Saudi Arabia has a similar vision with its Saudi Vision 2030. And if you want public sector, national level blockchain use for data and payments, it needs to be at massive scale with cost of this tiny amount that Craig is talking about, which is not what the other blockchains are doing and what has become with BTC. So that's why it's really relevant here. So give some examples of the types of, device to device, person to person payments and data transfers that you are envisioning.
So the concept of peer-to-peer has been completely misrepresented to you. Peer-to-peer, if you read any textbook from 2008 when I released the white paper, means end-to-end communication. As we had in Bitcoin when I launched, IP to IP, person to person, device to device. As soon as you have a middle thing, as soon as you go Alice to Node to Bob, you're not talking peer-to-peer. You're talking a mesh network, something else. Peer-to-peer means you send directly to the other person, which is how Bitcoin's meant to work. So I should be directly communicating with the other machine. The node shouldn't, if you're talking IoT machines, they shouldn't be going out there sending a transaction to the blockchain, waiting, seeing it's in a block, trying to find it within it using cuckoo filters, etc., and then the other node looking for it. What they should be doing is directly communicating machine to machine, then storing the record as a timestamp on the nodes. There's a totally different model how this is working. Now, if you don't believe me, have a look at the original software. When I released Bitcoin, it was IP to IP. Right. You could put in an IP address and communicate directly between nodes. That was part of the function before others in 2011 changed what I was doing. That is peer-to-peer. No middleman. No having to go to the miners and ask them to have a transmission sent. So if we're doing this at volume, what we want is individual machines, like IoT for smart cities, being able to communicate over payment channels, for instance, so that they can update potentially to nanosecond level many, many thousands or millions of times before sending a transaction, where we could have literally billions of machines sitting around a network around a country, every phone, every traffic light, every street light having its own addressing, right, sending back information and having it recorded.
Yeah, and let me reinforce that point. Bitcoin was created not for decentralization, which is now an overused, misunderstood term in the blockchain crypto world. It's to reduce or eliminate intermediaries and therefore make the cost of sending a payment or data much less expensive, very cheap and very fast. On your point on addresses, yesterday, Dr. Wright and I were speaking at the IEEE UA Blockchain Group's first ever blockchain symposium. The IEEE is the leading scientific technical standards organization. They had the first blockchain symposium here yesterday, and one of the key themes that came out of it is the need to drive implementation of IPv6, the upgraded version of Internet Protocol above IPv4, because it enables far more IP addresses to be uniquely created. IPv4 runs out about 4 billion. IPv6 enables over 10 quintillion unique IP addresses, which is important for this IoT smart device world you're seeing, because in every little device you have could have a unique IP address. How does that relate to Bitcoin, and why does that group believe BSV combines so well with IPv6?
So the first version of Bitcoin I released in 2009 was IPv6 enabled already. That got taken out because people didn't think that IPv6 was useful and made it not peer-to-peer. So we've got this whole industry arguing peer-to-peer with a non-peer-to-peer model, ironically, arguing decentralization as they make centralized systems that are controlled by a few people. So what we're talking about is the ability for every single device to connect directly, not having any middlemen, not going through a Facebook, not having the competition aspects that limit competition right now from Google and Facebook, the ability to directly compete. So if you want to make the equivalent of a Google application, you can do it without having to try and get into the ad industry, which is controlled by Silicon Valley and limited, and you can bypass that monopoly by charging directly. Fractions of a cent. This is the whole point. Not 1/10 of a cent, not 100th of a cent, right down to 1,000th of a cent or less with your fees and your payment, etc. Now that changes the entire nature of how things work around the world, the internet, etc. It means rather than having Silicon Valley and a few central hubs around the world controlling everything, it means every country out here in the Gulf, in Asia, in Africa, can start developing independently. It means you don't need to rely on Google for search. You can build your own. You don't need to rely on data centers and AWS. You can build your own. And you can actually fund these economically. So part of what my background is, I'm computer science, PhD, and economics. That's my two. Economics is a critical aspect of all of this. So reducing fees is the key.
Yeah, and only BSV is scaling as a blockchain for the capacity to support this IPv6 world, which can also support quintillions of unique addresses for every person, every device, every piece of clothing, every rock, every animal really could be associated with a unique IP address as well as Bitcoin micropayments.
Well, the irony people think about scaling and they talk about Ethereum, things like this. My objective is not to get to 20,000 transactions. We've already exceeded that. My objective is to basically grow the system in the next couple of years so that every single crypto out there can be run for a year and we can put it in a block. That every Visa card, every bank, everything will be cheaper. Right now, the cost of sending something to Salesforce will be 400 times the cost of what we will allow it. In which case, economics of scale win. The cost of sending anything to a Visa card, including the fraud, etc., will be reduced. The simple play I'm making is I'm going to undercut the price of everything by about 10,000 times.
So one of the key areas we pursue in the BSV world is public sector, government use of blockchain, which is why we've been spending a lot of time here in the UAE, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia. One of the concerns I hear when I talk to government agency representatives about using blockchain for, let's say, public sector data is, oh, how do I keep the data within my country's borders if it's on a blockchain where the nodes in the network may be all around the world? Craig, why don't you address how a country at the government level could manage use of blockchain for their data as well as payments, but still keep get comfort of this issue of how do I keep data within my country borders.
So the double hash structure of Bitcoin transactions was chosen for a reason. The design of NoSQL and other similar type of databases is really a hash indexing system. Now, by doing this, we can actually create a separate overlay hash index network, holding all of the data, immutably timestamping it, and linking all of the information in provable data stores. Those data stores will be held external, but also verified on robust distributed networks that people can choose. So these can be chosen in any set of conditions you want. You can have geolocation, you can have distribution, you name it, you can build it.
So you can keep the sensitive or more concerning data off of the blockchain and use the blockchain to get the advantage of timestamping, verifying the integrity or accuracy of data that lives somewhere else.
Correct. And in addition, through the work we've been doing on certification authorities and distribution of those, the various problems that have occurred in the past, such as the hack against DigiNotar that led to about 1.2 billion people having information stolen, Google being compromised, Microsoft being compromised, etc., will be a thing of the past. The attack on such a system will be completely irrelevant. The distribution of certificates will be right down to the end user, meaning that any attacker, such as in the Iranian case there, the former Russian cases, rather than having a central RSA or DigiNotar type environment, you will actually have to attack billions of attack surfaces, making it economically unviable.
So this future we see for the Gulf countries as well as worldwide involves use of blockchain to make financial systems more efficient, such as the remittance of money from migrant service workers here in the UAE or Saudi Arabia back to their families and friends at home, tokenizing real-world assets, not these fake tokens we see a lot in the blockchain world, tokenizing gold or silver or oil, for example. Also using the blockchain for micropayments to power all of these connected devices that we'll see here in the UAE, from smart cities to autonomous vehicles and things of the future. And finally, taking advantage of the distributed nature of the BSV blockchain to make data more efficient, cheaper to store than cloud storage today, right, with AWS or Google, and give the benefits of public verifiability. That will really, I think, create a better world. That's what we want to see here. So let me end this conversation with this question. So Craig, this is your first visit to Dubai, and I think the Middle East generally, as Satoshi Nakamoto. What do you want this world, and this part of the world, to know about Satoshi and what you really created Bitcoin to be?
Scale, cheap. I want people to understand that when you have something where transaction fees are removed, as with the old Arrow-Kano problem in economics, etc., you solve many things that we can't imagine right now. In M-Pesa in Africa, fees are 30, 40 cents, sometimes more. That's considered micropayments. That's wrong. If you want remittance systems to work, you shouldn't have every 3 months someone sending back because it's too expensive. The reality is people should be able to send money back and forwards at will. Someone earning a few dollars a day as a maid or a low-paid worker should be able to choose how they pay, when they pay. They should be able to sit there in an application and watch what their children are buying and approve it then and there. That's what I want to see. If someone wants to buy a pencil for their kid, they should be able to do it without worrying that the fees are more expensive than the pencil. That's the promise of what people call cryptocurrency, which is not cryptocurrency, it's not encrypted, it's digital cash. Digital cash that's cheap, fast, and works.
Right, and was designed to solve something Internet Protocol did not. What is a native way to send through the Internet monetary value in tiny, tiny amounts?
Without sending 3 to 4% of your money off to Visa and MasterCard, which, strangely enough, is why Visa and MasterCard are in the lawsuits against me.
Yeah. So go back and read the Bitcoin white paper if you've not read it before. It really focuses on Bitcoin being a solution to being able to send across the Internet small casual transactions. I repeat that, small casual transactions. Bitcoin, the blockchain, was not created to send $1 million US around the world. Our financial system does that fine today. It was created to send efficiently, because of scale and low cost, as Craig's pointed out, tiny amounts of money, which can also power a very new world of the internet and digital activity, where everything in our lives is kind of digitally monetized, in which you're paying and receiving little bits of money for your internet activity, or what happens in your car, or what you're incentivized to do to achieve environmental sustainability goals. So I think that's a really powerful vision. If you want to learn more about what we're doing, we're holding our next BSV Global event, the BSV Global Blockchain Convention, here in Dubai, May 24th through 26th. Dr. Wright will be here as always as our featured keynote speaker, with a lot of local allies and supporters from government and business here. That is May 24th through 26th. You can check it out at globalblockchainconvention.com. That's globalblockchainconvention.com. Last words, Craig?
I want you to think for a moment, if you're creating a global connected system, which by 2030 will have at least 100 billion machines, you want to do that securely. Right now, the cost of every transaction limits all of this. Even on AWS storage, you're talking about 1 to 2 cents per transaction. Using Ethereum, maybe $40 a transaction. Think about that. Think about billions of transactions every minute. Now think about 1/1000th of a cent. Think who wins.
And we're very focused on utility. We want to advance the blockchain and digital currency world outside this world of speculative investment trading. Make things that are really useful. It's why we are working with the University of Sharjah here in the UAE on a project to develop the tracking of academic and professional certifications on the BSV blockchain. We are knowledge partners to the UAE's Ministry of Human Resources and Emeritization, training their executives on the power of blockchain technology to be used within their ministry to improve job and career development for people in the UAE. And we're working with a number of other government agencies in the region, including the Ministry of Communications and IT in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, to launch the kingdom's first ever blockchain academy focused on BSV. We look forward to doing more in the region, and happy to talk to any of you here about how we can help bring real utility and a much grander vision of digital activity and payments to the world, just like Craig's talked about.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Craig and Jimmy, about this presentation. By the way, don't hesitate to connect with Jimmy on LinkedIn. We are in communication for a few months on LinkedIn, and even discuss over email. I wanted to meet him to pitch him to list BSV on an exchange. So LinkedIn is a very good tool. I didn't find Dr. Craig on LinkedIn.
He's there, but he's a little scary on social media, so be careful.
No. I wanted to connect with him because I find LinkedIn to be the vehicle of choice for communication. And because Jenny from the blockchain was very, very fast and distributed some awards during the break, and after that has started with you guys, I wanted to do a small exercise about positioning and about how do you want to be perceived by the market for just a few minutes to keep the momentum until the end of the day, because after the lunch break, I don't want to keep you here, so thank you very much. After lunch break, usually the energy goes down. And it's not good for the idea of immersion. So the exercise is a little bit controversial, but I want to communicate something about it. So when I'm going to events, usually I like to be dressed like that and have a t-shirt. Usually that t-shirt has a message or is blank. And in one day, I bought this t-shirt from New Yorker. New Yorker is my favorite brand, which looked very nice. But when I'm putting this jacket, it remains only this word here. And it's something, I'm a sales marketing and business development guy, so I'm always looking at marketing, and framing is one element very important. So in the blockchain, if you want to make yourself heard, if you want to evolve in this space, you have two choices. Either to be, I don't know, a hard worker, a builder, a person who is failing forward, but you will reach some results at the end, or you have also the possibility to be the one looking for shortcuts, maybe scamming people, maybe doing the wrong things. Of course, in the second category, if you are like that, the success can come very fast, but it will be on thin ice, and it's not sustainable. And people are talking between them, and sooner or later you will be kicked out from the market. So my advice is to be a contributor, trying to help the ecosystem, trying to help the market. I hope that this controversial exercise was interesting. And let's go to the next presentation, which is reserved for ECA Network. Let's welcome Ayush Gupta, founder and CEO ECA Network, on stage. Do we have him in the room or not? Should we go to the next one and come back? And just to finish the idea with framing, let's say that you meet a person and somebody is saying, okay, tomorrow you will meet an awesome guy. You will start the conversation, the meeting, having a certain idea about that man. But if somebody else is telling you, that guy is a scammer, automatically, when you start the conversation or the meeting, you'll have a different mindset. So let's welcome ECA Network on stage.
Thank you. Hi everyone. We are ECA Network, world's first social ecosystem for NFT, metaverse, and games. I'm Ayush. I'm co-founder and CEO of ECA Network. I'm here with Bhavyam.
Hello everyone, my name is Bhavyam Goel and I am the CTO and co-founder of ECA Network.
So Bhavyam, what do you think is the future of NFTverse?
So Ayush, according to Morgan Stanley, the NFT gaming market is basically $50 billion and it is the future of gaming. And that is just the 10% of the whole NFT market. By 2030, the NFT market will be $500 billion.
Whoa, $500 billion is a big number. So how is ECA targeting it?
ECA is basically a social space where anyone from any blockchain can come up, sign up for our platform, they can interact with any metaverse, and they can share their NFTs.
So what do you mean by interacting with metaverse?
Like you can see, our platform is live on testnet, and anyone can register, they can share their posts, share their NFTs, and as you can see, there are many types of posts. There are NFT posts, normal posts, and posts verified by ECA. To basically anyone who is partnering with ECA will have a verification that this post and the collection is verified.
Okay, so if, I play Quixivia, it's your partner. So for that, I'll get some extra advantages, right?
Yeah, as Quixivia is a partner, and we can basically verify the NFT and nobody else can just create another NFT and fake that he owns the NFT.
That sounds interesting. So what else is ECA providing us for a gamer like me?
I guess everyone would like to explore the metaverses, right? So Sandbox is a great example where everyone wants to try a metaverse, but the cost of experiencing the metaverse is really high. For experiencing the land, you have to buy, experiencing the sandbox, you have to buy the land. And that land can cost around 3 Ethereum to 10 Ethereum. Instead of just buying the land, you can come to Eka and rent that land. Instead of paying 3 Ethereum, you can just pay the rent for the day. That can be 0.01 Ethereum and use it. If you like this metaverse, you can buy the NFT, or if you don't like the metaverse, you can just pay the rent, give the NFT back.
Oh, it's a big problem that you're solving, as exploring new metaverse is currently impossible with the high prices of these NFTs. So what else are you providing? Like, I have certain NFTs, but I need some money. So can I just make money by this, by renting my land?
Actually, Ayush, renting won't help you out with making money. Basically, Eka lending will help you out for loaning, basically collateralized loan. You can just come to a platform. If you have a lot of NFTs sitting idle in your wallet, you can loan them, you can collateralize them and take loan on it.
Okay, so that is a really huge problem.
And that not just it, Ayush. We have Eka subscription mint NFTs where anyone, not just a gamer, but a content creator, a gaming company, or any social influencer can come and create mint subscription NFTs. Any user that owns the NFT will have access to the exclusive contents, and they will have early access to that particular metaverse.
So you're talking about early access. This is a big thing, right?
Yeah, early access for a gamer is a huge advantage. Before even trying out the game, he can experience the game. Before the game is launched, you can experience the game. I guess you are a gamer and you can relate with that, right?
Yeah.
And for the gamers enthusiasts like you, we have our AR feature live right now. Anyone who is interested, want to experience the metaverse can come to our booth. We have it all set up. Any NFT can be viewed in AR, whether it has a model or not. If you want to see an NFT with a 3D model, it can be viewed in AR. You can also have, we have Eka rooms that we are going to build later on. Eka rooms, from Eka rooms you can just jump onto any metaverse that you want. We have Eka galleries where any art exhibition can be held. It can be rented, it can be auctioned.
So just to reiterate, what Eka is trying to create is a hub where people from different metaverse can come. It's solving the problem of ease of adoption, as I can just rent any land or any game asset and then use it. And if I have a lot of NFTs and I'm short on cash, in that case I can just lend and get some liquidity, right?
Exactly, Ayush, you got that perfectly correct. As you all know that there's a huge difference between the centralized market and Web2 space and the Web3 market. And Eka's main goal is to become a bridge between these two markets. Thank you, everyone. Any questions? Anyone any questions?
And yeah.
Yeah. Sure.
I've got a microphone. So Eka Network, I have been following you guys for quite some time. So I probably wanted to touch on, in terms of, I understand that you might be doing your token sale maybe soon or something. I'm not going to talk about a sale, but maybe interested to talk about, in terms of the technology that you use, like have you made up your mind of which blockchain that you are going to be utilizing for your project? Thank you.
So currently, we are multi-chain. We support Ethereum, Binance, Avalanche, and Polygon. Along with that, we are planning to support more blockchains. Right now, if you can come to our booth, we can show you the lending features, and that is available on both Polygon and Ethereum. And for our social media part, we are available on all the 4 blockchains that I told you, and we are adding new blockchains very soon.
Yeah, so we are not limited to any blockchain or any metaverse. And we are not competing with anyone. We are just trying to bring adoption on the Web3 platform.
Thank you very much, guys. At the end, please introduce yourselves, because we are expecting one person, and it was very good that it was a duo presenting this panel. It was different than the others, it was a differentiation factor. So people to know, who are you, please?
So basically, I am the CTO of Eka Network, and I am in charge of the development phase, and we developed this platform. We got a grant from Polygon, and we developed this platform since December.
And hi, I'm Ayush. I'm the CEO of this company, and we together have developed this platform. Along with that, my educational experience was before this, I've studied at IIT and got computer science degree from there. After that, I was working with Samsung, and there, I was awarded the Citizens Award. That was the award for the best employee. Along with that, the work that we did was also recognized in AWS case studies. So, if you can come to a booth, we can show you everything. And for the platform is currently live and running. You can go to mvp.eka.network and experience it yourself. And if you want to experience the AR, you can come to our booth. We have the devices ready, and you can experience the AR right now. Any other questions?
Again, thank you very much. Don't hesitate to visit their booth and to ask them anything you want, of course. And don't forget that today a corporation can be made with 2-3 brains and the same number of laptops, or maybe 1-2 laptops more than the number of brains. So on the stage we have potential future multimillionaires, billionaires, or
Hopefully, yes.
all success. But build it the right way, very important. Build it the right way. The next presentation, you can leave the mics here, please, is from Jessica T. Naga, founder and MD of Pan-African law firm Digital Associates Ltd. Let's welcome her on stage. Do you want to use this mic or that one? It's there.
The green one? Okay, great. Hi, everyone. I'm really excited to be here with you. Can you see me? Hello? Oh, yeah, all right. So I'm very excited to be here with you today. I'm going to try not to make this too boring, even though I'm a lawyer, so we tend to do that. So I've set up a Pan-African law firm called Digital Associates, and I've helped set up a couple of digital ecosystems in Seychelles and Mauritius. So this is first the Digital Partners Network Group. So we specialize in advising in virtual assets and crypto. So we've got the law firm, the offshore corporate structure, the fund administrators, the domestic corporate services, the fund. So we can take investments in crypto and make investments in crypto businesses. So we've got a digital bank. We go live this year. And we've got an accounting firm, not to do accounting, but to do valuations of tokens. Because we found that the value of tokens was actually different to underlying assets that were tokenized. So this is an existing ecosystem in the Seychelles, fully regulated. So we've got an exchange. So it's a hybrid exchange. So we can list traditional assets and we can list tokenized assets. The reason is we found that clients who, for example, wanted to float 20% of their business could float 10% traditional and 10% tokenized. So as I said, we are regulated digital custodian, regulated complete suite. So we can tokenize securities as well. So bonds, shares, any securities. We can also tokenize contracts, obligations, property, art, so NFTs. So that's the exchange, clearing, depository. Marketplace is for the assets that are unregulated and a client doesn't want to go into a regulated exchange. And then we've got a digital custodian. So I'm very excited to say that we were licensed in Mauritius in January this year. So now we're going to replicate the same thing. So Mindex Limited is an exchange clearing, and we've got a full custodian license so we can custody all virtual assets, including crypto. So go back. So what I thought I would talk about today is the ingredients of a global fintech hub of choice. So I think it's very interesting that we are here today, and yesterday Dubai issued their virtual asset rules, regulations, so we're waiting for more details on it, but this is where the world is going, into a regulated space. So I thought we could look at some of the conditions that would make any jurisdiction interesting. And it is of interest to players in the market. So whether you are a fintech company, whether you're thinking of raising capital as an ICO, as an STO, as an IPO, with an element of digital asset in it, it's very important to look at your options. So as a lawyer, first of all, advising clients internationally, and as a promoter of these structures over the last 4 or 5 years, these are the conditions that I found were very important to look at. So the first one is the legal framework. So I'll go into a little bit of detail on it. The digital infrastructure. So you can have law, but do you have the service providers that you can rely on in that jurisdiction to do what you want to do? So whether it is to create the tokens, whether it is to custody the token, whether it is to trade it, it's important to look at what's there. Then the ease of doing business, that's where the IFCs are important. Policy, so what is government's take on it, on the ground, so that you don't go somewhere and then the law changes and suddenly your business is at risk. The workforce, the intergovernmental arrangements, and that I feel particularly interested in. I think fintech and tech businesses are cross-border in nature. So you can be set up somewhere, but you're operating cross-border. So it's very important to look at G2G arrangements, government to government, to protect end users at the end of the day. And alternative dispute resolution. So legal framework. So I'm just going to briefly look at a couple of countries and what they've done. So ADGM is one of the first countries to actually regulate virtual assets. So it's got multiple categories. So the first virtual asset is your cryptocurrencies. Your digital asset would be your securities. Then your fiat tokens, which be your stable coins, and then your derivatives and fund, so they're regulated. What this does is it gives certainty, because it's regulated, but of course it comes with its own problems, which is the delays and the cost. So I think depending on the size of business, depending where you've reached with your funding, depending on where you're going, then you can choose a regulated or an unregulated jurisdiction. But we can see, like Dubai has done yesterday, the countries are going the regulated way. The next one is the UK. So that's an example. This is the only overarching regulation in the UK in that space. So what is required, that comes from the FCA website, is they tell you if you're a crypto asset business, for money laundering purposes, you've got to register. That's all they say. That's the only overarching one. Otherwise, you go into specific regulation and piecemeal. So they will regulate e-money institutions. They will regulate securities. But it's not clear. And that means a lot of work for lawyers, not great for end users. Then you have the announcement of President Biden on Wednesday, where he's saying we need to look at a roadmap for regulating cryptocurrencies. So that was announced this week. So it looks like everybody's going the regulated way, but this is not yet clear rules about what they're going to do. So the clear rules will come, I don't know, 6 months probably, but everybody is saying outwardly we're going regulated. Sorry about that. And that's the Dubai one, which has come out. So it is very clear that Dubai will regulate. So they're creating a new virtual asset regulatory authority just to regulate virtual assets. This is great, but again, not clear yet what it's going to be. We don't know what assets are going to be regulated, I think there's an exclusion, so it will not apply to the areas regulated by the DIFC regulator. And I thought I would do a little comparison with Mauritius, because I know the jurisdiction, because I operate in it, but also because it's reached a little bit further than the other jurisdiction in terms of actually doing it. So I thought we would do just a little bit of comparison so you can see what's there and why some of the things they've done works really well. So Mauritius voted, the Parliament voted the Virtual Asset and Initial Token Offering Services Act in December 2021. And what they did is really good. They don't regulate the products, they regulate the service providers. That's in line with FATF Regulation 15, which is you regulate your VASPs. But what this brings to me as a lawyer when I advise my client is a lot of clarity. So they regulate your broker-dealer, your wallet service provider, your custodian, the advisors, and your marketplace. So you do not have to worry as long as you use regulated service providers. So all your AML rules that can be quite scary, they have to take care of this. And like I said earlier about Dubai, they've not said yet what assets would be regulated or not. Mauritius has decided to regulate most of them, with a few exceptions. So the first one, the closed loop items, would be your tokenized fidelity card, for example. It doesn't regulate your CBDC, your central bank digital currency, your stablecoin. It doesn't regulate lawyers and accountants and people who already kind of are regulated by their own regulators, and ancillary services. But these are the only exceptions. Otherwise, everything is regulated, which means you go through regulated service providers, and it provides a lot of clarity. So Mauritius has also implemented specific licenses, and these have worked quite well for businesses that are more popular. So your payment intermediary services, your peer-to-peer lending, your crowdfunding, your robotic and artificial intelligence, and your custodian services. Now the custodian services falls under the Virtual Asset Act, but the other ones are specific, and it's worked quite well. Mauritius also, like the UK, based on the UK system, put in a regulatory sandbox where the law does not exist or the law is not clear. That is very helpful with innovative products that do not want to go into full regulation yet. And I think, again, as a lawyer, I like it very much. I think it helps a lot of businesses get off the ground. And this is something I would like to see more jurisdictions do. Now, digital infrastructure. So that's very important when we're choosing a jurisdiction. You think it's very easy to set up an ICO. It is very easy. But where are you going to store it? Because the thing with fintech businesses and crypto businesses is the growth is really exponential. So you can't think, I'm going to try this, and in 3 months, I'm going to do something else. In a month, your business could explode. So it's important to choose and make those decisions earlier on, and where you have digital infrastructure existing. And what do I mean by digital infrastructure? It is, where am I going to do my listing? Where am I going to custody my asset? Where am I going to secondary trade? Because you can start by not doing it, but then very soon you need to. So again, I'm just going to talk about Mauritius. So Mauritius has licensed Mindex. So Mauritius will have all of this within the next 3 months. There are 23 licensed and live payment intermediaries in Mauritius, regulated. And there are 2 peer-to-peer lending organizations. And this information is readily available. And I would like to see more jurisdictions do that. So you can easily see what is the ecosystem that exists in those jurisdictions, so that before you go in, you have an idea of what is there and what you can use. Ease of doing business. That's an easy one for IFCs. Because fintech businesses are cross-border, the IFCs, the international financial centers, your offshore jurisdictions are ideal because they're used to dealing with people operating in multiple jurisdictions, and they're used to having foreigners invest in them, and it's just that much easier than a jurisdiction that is more insular. Policy to drive digital innovation. I think that is also very important, that governments outwardly say that they're going to support these businesses. And then you know you're going in, and there is a vision to build a digital hub, and there is more chance that the law will not change rapidly, and you will build a more secure, stable business in that jurisdiction. So, for example, just as examples, Mauritius launched the Digital Mauritius 2030 strategic plan. So anyone can access it, and you can see what the plan is. There are also fiscal advantages, incentives for businesses that are innovative-driven activities. Workforce and traditional infrastructure. That is also very important. So when you're looking at a jurisdiction, you need to know, if you go in, whether you will have the people and the traditional infrastructure. What I mean by traditional here is, for example, you go somewhere and you've got everything, but the banks will not follow. You've got a problem. You can't bank. And then you have to bank overseas, and it becomes a problem. So the existence of traditional infrastructure that would support your innovative business is important as well. So an example that Mauritius has done, which is very helpful, is that they have made special visas and permits for captains of industry to come to the island. So that allows quick capacity building. Because I think we cannot forget that there is currently a global race to creating a fintech hub for everyone. So building capability faster can be very helpful to a jurisdiction. Intergovernmental arrangements, so this, as I said before, allows companies to operate from multiple countries quicker, to grow, to expand, to spread their wings. So examples, double taxation agreements, investment promotion protection agreements are very important traditional instruments that can be very helpful in fintech. And we also then have bilateral arrangements. Mauritius has done a couple of those. And why is that important? It is important to the end user that we're able to track what's happening to your money, to your assets when they're being moved from jurisdiction to jurisdiction. So it is regulators working with the regulators. I do firmly believe that what's happening with crypto and fintech is creating a bigger financial world without borders. And there are risks associated with that. It is important for us, when we're looking at law, to look at those intergovernmental arrangements for the protection of everyone. And one other thing that I would say is, as we've mentioned before, countries are coming out with their regulation. But it is important that they do not do their regulation in isolation from what other countries are doing. We need to have interconnectivity between them and a flow, because otherwise what businesses are going to do is to do jurisdiction shopping. So they're going to choose the ones where they can do certain things without the purview of regulators, and that can be risky for the end users. And that's my final point, alternative dispute resolution. So all the benefits that you get from tokenization, all the benefits you get from crypto that make asset move fast, trade fast, you can lose it if you need to go in a 5-year, 10-year battle in your traditional courts. It doesn't work. So I think it's important for us to look at the jurisdictions that need to build those. So online dispute resolution platforms, robot arbitrators to automate the process of producing decisions, use artificial intelligence in the whole dispute resolution process, and finally, to make sure that professionals and judges with fintech and tech as a specialist are promoted, and we build more of this so that when your dispute arises, which is a fact, it's gonna arise, there is the system in place to allow you to resolve those. So, thank you very much for your attention, and I hope you found this helpful.
Thank you very much, Jessica. I don't find these subjects boring because I believe every player in this space has to have at least a basic understanding about that. We'll take a question from that lady, if you don't mind. I will do the honors here.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Anu Bardwaj from Sheconomy, and that was one of the most excellent presentations I've ever heard in any blockchain conference, so thank you for that. So well done. Is there a rating system? I know Mauritius is ahead of the curve for all of Africa in terms of crypto regulations and so on and so forth, but how do you compare with like Singapore or Switzerland, for that matter? Is it up there on the
You know, even though you're saying Mauritius is ahead of the curve, I will honestly tell you that the law came in December, promulgated in February. So until that happened, Mauritius was not ahead of the curve. So that race that is happening is allowing countries to, you know, jump ahead of anyone. So it's a race. I can see it. And suddenly Mauritius has, you know, surpassed a lot of them.
for Africa specifically? Is there anyone else?
Absolutely not. I think
Exactly.
it's wider.
Yeah.
I think it's wider. And I think when you're looking at a jurisdiction, you're not just looking at the law. That's why I said there's all of this. So you could go to the UK, for example, which is a bigger jurisdiction, more liquidity, more professionals, more all of this. But it can take you a year and a half to get a license, and you're not even clear about what license. So you've got to make a weighted, you've got to weight the different elements of it and decide how long is this going to take me? Is there liquidity? Will the government support it? And that's why I said it's not one element, it's a multitude of them. But with tokenized assets, you can do multiple listings or multiple businesses, correct? So then it's, you know, if you're looking at building a business, the advisors in it that are looking at it cross-border are the best ones, because they will tell you, start here, proof of concept, move there. So it's a moving target. And I think this is a space where you don't want to go to a lawyer post-event. You want to go to a lawyer pre-event, and you have your lawyer accompany you along the, not just a lawyer, an advisor. Being a lawyer, I sometimes say that, I apologize, but it's an advisor all the way.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank you again, Jessica. And now let's welcome Veka on stage. Vesa, sorry. In Romania, it means that I owe you a lamp, if I don't pronounce the name correctly. What I wanted to say from the previous panel, you saw that you started to create art in 2008, right? So it's like the overnight success sometimes has 20 or 10 years of work behind it. So can't wait to see what you will present. Thank you very much. And sorry again for not pronouncing the name correctly.
No worries whatsoever. Yeah, first we're going to show a little promotional video in order to kind of help this.
Our next speaker, his name is Veza. He's got a last name, but I don't think he likes to even use it because, you know, it's kind of like, you know, Madonna, right? It's just one name. Veza is his name, right?
Really cool things here is some artwork, and we have actually crypto art, and we have the artist here, Vesa, good to see you. Pleasure. So tell us about what you do.
I'm a digital mixed media artist. I was first professionally from the year 2000. I was a filmmaker. I did a bunch of music and photography. And then around 2008, that evolved into something that I started calling art bubble, which is a mixture of oil portraiture, photography portraiture, through body painting and photography, painting and photography, and Photoshop and nature photography, all of this kind of mixed together as a form of storytelling that is something about going into someone's personal story of who they are, and then comparing that to the universal bigger story of humanity and sort of putting it all together inside the frame. I've made about 350 digital artworks and hobbied them ever since 2008. That via NFTs now and the more side of the high-effort NFTs, as they're now increasingly becoming a thing after the low-effort ones, can become a new kind of realm through virtual reality, augmented reality, taking a still frame even though it's from 2008 and through the layering make it come alive and then use augmented reality and VR solutions for that, which ultimately is going to evolve into the direction of artificial intelligence being incorporated into the whole experience. But because I was early in this movement from 2017 from the art side, and I'd done some things in the art world before, for example, the Vila Malik project, I reached a lot of people and had critical acclaim. I was always, and the opportunities that I was given to go to these conferences and meet a bunch of people, like do direct commissions to Charlie Lee and the Litecoin Foundation, or meet Charles Hoskinson and work with him. Today we're going to be talking about digital art and where the opportunities are. I am honored to be joined by Vesa, who is a one of my very famous artists who's joining us. Generally you'd be in Finland, but not today, you're in Abu Dhabi. The art collaboration that we're doing together that ties in now increasingly together with Dr. Marwan, who is the CEO of the Dubai Blockchain Center, and this idea that I presented to him before last Christmas of 2020 of this Tesla that was pictured as an art car. And it didn't take this guy too long, but he bought 17 cars, which is now expanded into 55 cars for the project. And the idea quickly started evolving into inverting a car from a depreciable asset into an appreciating one. You are wrapping a car in a digital, unique art piece and making a VR asset also from the car that becomes a game item as well as an exclusive club access pass. And this is all bundled together into an NFT.
I think what he's doing right now is substantially significant because I like this idea. You're taking a liability and you're converting it into an asset. You're also then making that asset usable in sort of a game of some sort, right?
I'm an art ambassador for Superworld, which is this incredibly exciting new augmented reality platform where we can also build virtual reality galleries like we're doing with this Luxor temple. And Shisha Finance with Saeed Al-Darmaki, who is just putting together for the Middle Eastern regions the evolution of decentralized finance and what kind of ways that is going to do only in that region, but let alone when it even expands from there to be a global powerhouse. Last but not least would be Vario VR, and we collaborated first on this VR artwork called The Braid, which is about the origin story of Bitcoin built out of 12 million voxels. It actually got on national news in Finland, and the next collaboration portfolio includes the Brittany Kaiser project, who's the famous Cambridge Analytica whistleblower. It all sort of ties in with this whole idea of how to evolve the world of art. What art really can do in our lives as some sort of a healing mechanism, but also an excitement mechanism. What are these metaverses? What can we do with these new forms that we're all exploring and putting together, and how we can make new economies happen around them? This is why I've said for a while that NFTs really are a liberation of a whole creative class of people.
All right. Thanks for watching. I'll talk about a few. Can we get the next video up, please? So just to go a little bit deeper into some of those clips that you saw in these videos, this is my studio, which is a physical studio in Helsinki, Finland, but it's made out of my digital art. Like I was saying there, that my art really has been digital in its origin for quite some time. And if you do it right and you do these files in these kind of large format things of how I do them, you can transform whole spaces into a completely different new immersive experience. And this is really, if you think of a traditional gallery that is white walls and kind of a cold attitude sometimes, and you might feel like you're a little bit judged entering and do I have to buy and all of this kind of stuff, art has been inside of a frame for a very long time. But if you start to think a little differently, you might make this whole space here into an artwork, even though this kind of is already this beautiful hotel. But this is really the evolution of art as we know it, is that it's escaping the boring frame that you have to stare, that is not interactive and so forth. And it's becoming something else entirely. And this is of course helped by the metaverse. And I'll go a little bit deeper into that soon. Can we go to the next video already, please? So this actually opens tonight. It's 14 years in the planning, this digital gallery, via this company called HCOM. And it's the world's highest resolution screens, kind of put together in a 360 surrounding like this. And you can control the temperature of the room. You can put mist there, audio, everything. But also, very interestingly, you can make about 1,200 scents come from the ceiling. And it comes custom built into these rooms. And anything from a smell of blood to a tropical jungle, you can make it like a full experience inside of this room. And this is a little bit of a transformation, because quite often what people ask is that when they're buying these digital artworks is that, where can I showcase these? Where can I put them? Why would I buy a JPEG? I mean, that makes no sense whatsoever. But of course, to many people here in this room, you already are familiar with Bitcoin technology and why that's transforming the financial space, but it's just a natural evolution that it's transforming the digital art space, and then it will transform a lot of different things. So this video is a part of the process of how I work, is that this lady was in my studio and we body painted her, and there was a wonderful lady, another artist called Anna, who made the wardrobes, and there was a whole film production team who made this artwork possible, and it's called Block Justice. And a lot of the themes here now have been about women's empowerment and all of this kind of stuff, and most of the people that I've collaborated with ever since 2008 have been women, and we've been focusing on creating this space where they can explore the inner depth of their power ever since then. So it's sort of been 14 years of this that I've also been helping from my side to become a reality. And it's quite an incredible thing when a person puts on body paint. They become these mythical living statues, and when the artwork is inspired by their real stories and what's going on in the world, it becomes quite powerful. Can we get the next video, please? So, this here, and we were just talking with Ruby over there, back in the room, who has a large African art collection, and basically about how I've been inspired by the foundations of Egypt and rhythmically, maybe musically more, the sort of tribal drums and music coming out of Africa. But this particular project is very special to me because for a few decades I've been following everything going on in ancient Egypt and how that reflects into our modern day society. So with this augmented reality platform and their team, we transformed this Luxor temple that is an incredibly advanced, amazing structure in Luxor into virtual reality, and then respectfully, kind of with upholding the traditions of what the whole place is about, we made it into my personal art gallery. And this shows a little bit of what's possible now, but hopefully also opens up something within all of you of what is possible to do inside of the metaverse. Because what we're discussing often is what do the future museums look like? What do the future art galleries look like? How can we make them much more accessible to people and tell stories in a more effective way that actually transforms and helps our lives? So this particular thing is really like the structure itself of this temple is built into the image of a human being, and then it tells the story of how a pharaoh goes from birth to transcendence throughout the structure of the building, and how art helped keep it together, and how society was kept together through the philosophy of this building, through the rulers coming all the way down to the bottom. So it presents this idea also of an enlightened king, and why that might be an important concept to ponder every now and then. So it's really special, and it's launching in about 3 weeks, and we've been working hard on it, and it actually has artworks ever since my inception of 2008 embedded into the building. So it's going to be incredible to see this whole thing happen, because I've got such a tremendous amount of respect for this building and how things like these can transform, especially in third world countries, the digital creative entrepreneurship, and how that can bring people out of poverty and help empower people all over the world. So that's a really, really cool thing. As mentioned in the video, we've really done something quite innovative here with Dr. Marwan Al-Zaruni with these cars, because most of the time you have a liability when you have a car if it's not a super collectible and very rare car. So we took something that is quite common these days, a Tesla from 2017, and we put a one-of-one artwork of mine that we've wrapped around it. Because wraps traditionally are considered quite cheap. They can get damaged, and people don't pay a lot for those. But if you do it in this way, that you take a unique NFT, a digital artwork, you wrap it around the art, and I paint on top of the car, then it becomes something different. But especially these virtual reality art cars, because I was inspired by the Bored Apes Yacht Club thing. I mean, it's just sort of cartoons with a lot of functionality and access to a club. And I thought that the access to a club is actually quite fascinating. Can we pause in the previous one? I'm sort of not done yet with the. Wow. Can you just press pause on it, please?
Can I have drive in that car?
Yes, you can. Absolutely, Leila. Yay! It'd be an honor for the car to have you there. Yeah. So essentially, with these cars, what it becomes is that when you buy the whole stack of the assets, then you get the virtual reality car, and what we're building with Metaverse called Cornerstone Land is a racetrack across the wonderful new Metaverse island. And those who buy the car, they get to build teams, and they get to race those cars in this Metaverse, and they get to win prize money. And then those who come into the whole thing, they can also bet on these racers. So it becomes a whole ecosystem in and of itself. But here's the really cool part. It's really an education, because those people who first encounter the physical car, who might have never heard about the metaverse, they think that first the thing of value here is the car. Then they start to wonder whether it's actually the artwork that is more valuable than the car. Then when they hear about the virtual reality asset, the club, the earning possibility, and all these different kinds of things, that's how we came from a $35,000 liability, essentially, into a car that is now going on auction with a minimum bid of $1 million. So this is what you can start to do with things, with art, when you play about with them right, and you might just bring a lot of beauty into this world, and awe, which is what we need through art. And somehow that is helping us remain psychically healthy, and that's quite cool. So that's really starting to become the end of my presentation today. I'm just going to show you this, which is, because I came in so early, I had a lot of wonderful opportunities that I'm happy to pass on to many people now, that some of my collectors are people like Charles Hoskinson and Charlie Lee, who were the founders of big coins and multi-billion dollar projects, who many of here know. So it's just an honor and a privilege to be a part of the ecosystem of tremendous minds of our time who are transforming everything around the planet. And as the last thing, can we have the last slide, please? This is just my QR code, how you can find me. Guys! It's okay. If you just come and like grab my sleeve or something, that's fine. So that's really it. Thank you very much for your time.
Do we have questions from the room, please? Thank you very much for the presentation.
Oh, there. Unless if anyone has any questions, or are we running late already? I don't want to take anyone else's time.
Let's take 1, 2 questions. Do you want to ask something?
Well, I just want to say to you, it's fantastic and incredible presentation, and that is not new. I meet you in different platform of crypto and blockchain, but today, really I see the details. You're not only marketing yourself, you're marketing others, and that's the human blockchain you're doing. Thank you for being with us, and we want to know more and to see you more, and for sure we're going to follow you. And the assets about the car you mentioned, because it's that diversity of color and so inspire people to know more how we can be involved on that.
Well, unfortunately, just when I was talking about one particular artwork here, which has been my whole process ever since 2008, I really started body painting women. But most importantly, what I was doing is not body painting their bodies. What I was doing is that I was learning about their stories, what was holding them back, and how to basically elevate the situation that when you put the paint on yourself, you become a living statue. So I was learning the real stories and trying to facilitate an experience where you can go and transcend whatever limitations you have in your life, and then capturing that beautiful moment that becomes almost like a totem pole of a memory that what it is that is possible for us from within. So ever since 2008, this has been, in many ways, me trying to facilitate my best of what is the empowerment of the human race. Much of it has come through the body painting process of women thus far, because that was back then already the wave that was starting, and I was supporting it. But more accurately, what I see is that truly the inclusion of everyone into this process, no matter what has happened and transcended in the past, we need to be able to forgive, we need to be able to see everyone's value and contribution, and then just pull it all together. So I'm sure I would love to have a conversation with you on how that's possible in a more specific way.
Because we have 2 projects which we are launching about women's, 50 inspiring women to be to crypto, and women in blockchain. We will see you with Mr. Muzamil and our team from Gulf Excellence. Thank you for being with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Lala. Thanks, everyone.
I also have a question for you. I have a question for you.
Okay.
Usually, for the beginners, the creative people wanting to begin their journey into the NFTs, which would be an advice? Because usually when beginners see some other people being so successful, they become paralyzed. So they don't do even the first step. This would be very valuable for the audience.
I'll keep this as short as possible, because this goes a little bit into what I was saying in the panel earlier, which is that when new artists are coming into this space, or anyone doing anything creative in this space, what I like to point to is the foundations of this whole thing. What is Bitcoin? First of all, how did money come into existence? What happened when gold started being deposited into vaults and all of these different receipts were circling around? How did our monetary system, fiat monetary system, come into existence, and why Bitcoin comes and what problems it solves? Then, as an artist, because I understand perfectly that many artists aren't inspired by the dollar sign or don't want to chase money or this kind of thing. It's not in their nature, and they mistakenly think that Bitcoin is still the same thing, or what the NFT thing is still just like someone trying to make quick money or just commercialize your work. No, this whole space is about the transformation of the whole of the energy grid system of our world. Our trade, our energy, and our efforts are being now harnessed into a decentralized way that cannot be harnessed in a similar way as our institutions, which have gotten a little corrupt with the fiat system now during the last 5 decades of what's been happening with it. So once you get the foundations of this, of what it's really about, it's very likely that you get authentically inspired by it, and then you see the potential. You see the potential for the poorest in the world, you see the potential for the middle class, you see the potential for everyone to benefit in somehow of this whole thing, which is essentially the world's financial arteries, not only opening back again for the West and many other places, but also to the 3.5 billion people in the world who don't have a bank account currently because our financial system is so archaic. So once you get that, then you might want to do a painting about it or whatever, song and dance, and that's it.
Thank you very much, and it was very nice to hear one of the best voices, Mr. Joel Cohn, who is a very good friend. He's doing the Bad Crypto podcast, I believe.
Oh, Joel's a good friend.
Yeah,
He's
I
a great
know him
guy.
for about 15 years, I believe, so
Amazing.
he's
He's a
one of
brother.
the best voices.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
To say that it was interesting is an understatement. And now let's welcome on stage Romero Coston from Troller app.
Test. Test.
Please come in front, so don't be shy. We are not biting. Can you please come in front? Do we need to give some satoshis and incentives? Who can put some satoshis in a pool so to incentivize the audience to come forward, please? I can give some cloud coins if you want. Can you please come forward? I don't know how to say, how to... I'm not very persuasive. So please let's welcome on stage Romero Coston from Troller app.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm happy to be here today with y'all. My name is Romero Coston, and I'm with the Troller Art. A little bit about myself. I'm from New York City, USA. I currently reside in Florida, USA. I got into crypto in 2019, and I absolutely fell in love with all aspects of Web3, and I've been here ever since. I actually have this explainer video ready for y'all. Please play the video.
Welcome to the revolution of NFTs and art blockchain fashion. So why is the Troller the most innovative NFT project, and why should you get involved? The Troller offers the most complete ecosystem combining artists, NFTs, competition, music, fun, sponsors, NFT collectors, blockchain e-commerce, and rewards for all. Now, let's discover what plans the Troller has in store. 1. The first NFT entertainment marketplace. The Troller is the first competition NFT marketplace tournament style, bringing talented NFT artists to compete in order to create the best NFTs for our guests, giving the chance to all talented artists to showcase their skills with big exposure to the NFT community in order to help them grow their popularity in their fan base. To make things even more exciting, the Troller platform will host a yearly event combining all artists that have won at least one competition in order to compete for the biggest NFT event and give the award of the best NFT artists of the year. Let's check out the Troller competition process where the top NFTs go head-to-head. Step by step. 1. Announce the guest or the brand for the competition. 2. Receive NFT applications. All NFT applications will be via lazy minting for all pre-selections, and only the top voted NFTs will go live on the Troller competition. 3. First round with the top 100 NFTs that passed the pre-selections. 4. Second round, top 50. 5. Semi-final, top 25. 6. Final, top 10. Announce the top 3 winners. 7. The Troller Museum opening. 8. Troller NFT holders early access. If you have this NFT, you will get 24 hours early access to bid and buy NFTs after the final competition results are out. 9. Opening of the merch marketplace. Calling all NFT artists. Come on, join the Troller First competition for a chance to win the 1 Bitcoin prize and many other rewards. The Troller judges are the NFT community. 2. The first bridge between big brands and NFT artists' community. Recently, all big brands are trying to get exposure to NFTs. We've seen Coca-Cola doing an NFT, Visa Card buying an NFT, and Louis Vuitton announced an NFT game. So instead of brands making an NFT with a single artist and that's it, we can organize a full-month event with all our registered artists competing through multiple selection rounds voted on by the NFT community in order to create the best top 3 NFT arts for that particular brand. This process will give companies the best marketing material to promote their brand name, engage their customers or users via our voting rounds, and of course, get the best exposure to NFTs and the NFT community. We welcome all brands willing to sponsor an exclusive event with the Troller competition. 3. Forget play and earn. With the Troller, just vote and earn. Troller coin holders will have the easiest task to do in order to generate passive income. Simply vote on your favorite NFTs throughout the competition stages, from pre-selection to the final. You'll get rewards from all NFTs sold in our museum, in addition to rewards from all blockchain merch sales. 4. Unique Auction Museum. The Troller Museum will be a unique marketplace where all our NFTs will be displayed once the competition process is completed and we have all rankings and top 3 winners. It will be in a 3D environment scene full of creativity. We'll have separate museum rooms for each competition NFTs where the top 100 arts that qualify for the competition will be sold auction style for all NFTs. 5. Revolutionary e-commerce platform at the Troller. The revolutionary e-commerce platform at the Troller will be converting NFT artists into famous brands. How is that possible? The Troller will be combining art, blockchain, fashion, using Luxo technology. The top 100 NFTs of each competition will be available on the Troller merch platform as soon as the NFT auction is closed. We will have the same NFTs printed on t-shirts with RFID chips, radio frequency identification, that can be verified through the blockchain. Yes, you'll be buying a t-shirt designed and signed by an NFT artist with a digital identity to check the authenticity of the product. These blockchain t-shirts' value will be determined by the original NFT sale. So if you miss the NFT, you can still get it in the Troller Merch Center. 6. Unique tokenomics with Super Turbo Burn. The Troller will be providing triple means of passive income for artists and community. 1. Passive income for the community. 2% auto-staking rewards, 20% of all NFT sales, 10% of all merch sales. 2. Passive income for artists, 2% auto-staking rewards, 5% lifetime commissions on NFTs sold in our museum, 20% lifetime commissions on art blockchain merch. Super deflationary token model with 4 burning mechanisms. 1. 2% of each transaction gets burned. 2. 100% of competition application fees get burned. 3. 5% from NFT sales will be used to buy back and burn. 4. 10% of merch items sales will be used to buy back and burn. The Troller is designed to be distributing rewards and burning coins with every Troller competition. Technically, the Troller coin is better than the dollar. The dollar prints more. The Troller burns more. 7. NFT